about the last limbs of the yogic path. So on Monday, I talked in classes around the idea of focus and the sense of concentration and trying to get your focus to be not so narrow, but rather kind of a softer, broader focus that helps us cultivate mind power and presence in the body. And this is really one of the later limbs in the eight limb yoga path, dharana it's called. And it's the sense of cultivating focus and awareness. And then dhyana, then the next limb is being able to have this sense of focus and awareness all the time, like cultivating it off of your mat. We've all heard the expression, take your yoga off your mat. And there's lots of ways we can do that. Lots of ways we can take our yoga off our mat. But specifically in this realm of focus, dhyana turns into this meditative practice that can either be a sitting meditation or any kind of moving meditation where we try to extend our present awareness selves beyond the moment on the mat or the moment on the meditation cushion to be really just a state that we try to live in as often as possible. And this can show up as attention to detail, noticing how people in your presence are, kind of attuning yourself to your environment or the people that you are with, learning how to notice the states of your emotions and how they shift and fluctuate and how they impact how you react to people. All the ways that we try to cultivate our own personal awareness very practically and very esoterically is really the practice of dhyana. It's not just meditation. It's not just sitting on your cushion and trying to notice what's in your mind. It's trying to do this all the time. And this is obviously a very advanced practice. And the more we cultivate it, the more capable we are of becoming connected to the oneness of all things. And this is really the last of the limbs of yoga. Our destination point, hopefully, right, is the sense of samadhi, where we merge into the oneness of all things. And I think a lot of times people think of samadhi as this unattainable thing that maybe, after 10,000 lifetimes or, only those spiritual seekers on the top of the mountain get to reach that level of spiritual connection. But that's not true. It's accessible to all of us in any moment of any time. So it's really letting ourselves be aware, to be focused, to be present, and to use this presence and awareness to cultivate a connection, an integration, feeling integrated with all things, even if you are alone inside your body and mind, to feel that you're never without this level of being in the web. So this is attainable, even if it's just little moments. And we've all had little moments of, when you feel that deep sense of harmony with whoever you're with, or with nature, or with music, or just that feeling of peace and ease when you are aligned, with the universe. This is the feeling of samadhi, and I can only imagine that as we grow in our awareness, this gets better and better. So those little glimpses that we have, don't they feel good? Isn't that when we feel best, right? When we are connected to other people. So it's a worthy task to try to use our yoga practice as tools to help us along the way to get there a little bit more easily. So we're going to do a practice today that's a little bit, I know I've focused on this before, but these deeper. So instead of thinking I must align, like I must be this way, I must be this way, I have to, check off the checklist of alignment cues. Instead of allowing your practice to be a to-do list of doing, see if you can move into a state of inquiry where instead of I must and I do, what do I feel and how am I in this moment? And when we cultivate this inquiry, we cultivate awareness, we cultivate this focus and this awareness that helps us to attune to ourselves and to others. And we notice the chatter in our mind, what the blocks are for us, what the internal dialogue is, what we say about ourselves, what we say about others, what our viewpoints are. So these are things that we can really start noticing if we have an inquiry based practice instead of a doing based practice. So some of the things we'll do today, um, I always ask you to do weird things, right? But if you take pathways in the body that are not well traveled, so let's say you've never played an instrument before and you try to play a chord on a piano or something, of course you're not going to know how to do that. Your fingers are not going to have the memory of knowing what that feels like. But if you keep practicing and you keep practicing, you move. It's like being in the forest. If you've taken a trail that when you're hiking that's been traveled a lot, it's a clear space, it's a clear pathway, you know where to go. But if you're kind of bushwhacking across traversing terrain that no one has walked before or you haven't walked before, you have to kind of piecemeal your way through it and figure out the best path. And sometimes you get stuck or figure out, oh, I got to go back and go this way. And so a lot of the pathways I'm going to ask you to inquire within yourself today are learning, like integrating your limbs into your center, and where are the pathways a little bit blurry and where are they nice and clear. We all have dominance in our bodies, so to just be noticing, where am I clear in my pathways in my body and where am I not. And this work of trying to like create clear paths is a very tangible way of cultivating this awareness and this focus to help us integrate it with ourselves, and then hopefully we can integrate even beyond ourselves with others. Okay, so go ahead and sit up straight and tall. Close your eyes and drop in for a moment. And how are you today? Are you feeling good? You can start with something very gross instead of very subtle, like good, bad, and then refine from there. What are the subtleties of the quality of your sensations, physically, mentally? Are you tired? Are you energized? Do you hurt anywhere in your body? Do you feel great today? How about your thoughts? Have you been quiet in the mind, busy in the mind? Have you been optimistic and hopeful, or are you kind of in the doldrums? Do you have a deep worry that you're settling upon? Where is the state of your mind? And then where is the state of your breath? Have you paid attention to a single breath yet today? Do you remember any breath you took yet since you woke? So if not, try this one right now. Close your eyes and just breathe into your presence. And as you breathe, check in with the emotional state of your mind and body. Okay, are you troubled? Are you happy? Are you hopeful? Are you sad? What is the prevailing winds? We are complex beings, so of course, simple answers don't summarize our experiences, but just know what's on the surface. And drop the analyzing and just come into presence with what you just discovered. It's sometimes hard to sit and breathe in the beginning of practice. Your body's stiff, your mind's busy. So just notice what's here. Is there a way for you to drop just a bit? Let the shoulders surrender. Feel a sense of giving up in the best of ways. Not giving up like I am no longer going to try, but giving up in the sense of surrender. There's nothing to hold on to. There's no expectations to have. Does it feel good to breathe? And as you get centered in the body, feel your yielding through your pelvis, your legs. Notice your diaphragm. Let's bring our palms to our heart and ask yourself the question, what do I need? How can my practice serve me today? Okay, let's relax the hands and come to be on your back. Okay. So as you find your way into your practice, we often start, I purposely start you with a very similar warm up. Sometimes it's nice to know the gateway. It's nice to be like, oh, this is such a familiar door. Let me open up wide. So bask in the familiarity of the beginning of your practice. Let's take a moment to just lie down on your back. Feel into that sense of surrender in the body, dropping into the earth. Take stock, take notice. Hear what's a little bit different than when you were sitting up. See where your breath is at. All right, and then let's stretch our arms. Maybe this makes your back arch a little bit. Imagine hanging off a bar where your body can just really stretch with gravity and lengthen. Of course, we're not hanging, we're on the ground, but get that feeling that the elongation of your body is a beautiful capacity to open and be free. Stretch the left side, stretch the right side. Open up the sides of you, open up the breath, feel your ribs flare a bit, relax your head, and then release your arms. Bring your knees into your chest, check in with your spine, feel free to rock a little bit, swaying, feeling the ease across your sacrum. Okay, and let's circle the knees one direction. Couple times, circle the other direction. Notice the massage across your sacroiliac joints. And then open your knees apart from each other and bring them back in, coming into that feeling of your hip joints easing into awakening and opening. All right, and then right knee into the chest, left leg is long on the floor. And roll your ankles around. Feel that waking. Does it feel good to wake your feet up, to feel your calves and your shins? Switch sides, left knee and right leg long. Extend the spine. Feel that awakening in the feet. And then let's put our feet down onto the ground and do the same with our wrists. So roll around in your wrists. Maybe flick. You can do some open and close with your fingers or swivel around your fingers in whatever way that's going to be freeing and awakening. And then come to cactus your arms open and feel your chest broaden and open just a little bit. Take your feet wide on the mat and let's windshield wiper our knees left and right. And just feel, see maybe now when you drop knees left, stretch your right arm away from your spine. See if you can get that extension from your hip to your fingers. And then come back and switch sides. Stretch the left arm over your head. Feel that long line from your hip to your fingers. One more time, each side. Just enjoy, we're just welcoming ourselves home into our body, coming into sensation that hopefully feels good, nothing too challenging yet. And then relax your body. Bring your arms down a little bit further, straighten your legs on the floor. Put your arms and legs in a place that's feeling really spacious and comfortable. You can be up overhead or out to the sides or wherever is good for you. We're just going to, I know you all have worked with me with this before, but this concept of navel radiation, where we're moving from our center. You can think of it like your belly button or anywhere in the center of your belly and connecting our limbs to that center point. So first, before we move, imagine, the strings of connection from your navel to all of your 6 limbs. So we're talking 2 arms, 2 legs, and also think of your crown and your tail as 2 more limbs in the body that we can move into and out of. All right, so let's start with the right leg. So move from your navel, stretch out into your right leg. And it can be a physical movement. It also can just be an energetic movement where you're extending and feeling that length. And then return, kind of plug the heel back up into the navel. Let's repeat it one more time with your right leg. Extending from navel out. Maybe there's physical movement. Maybe it's just energetic movement. And heel comes back in toward your belly button or anywhere in your core.
stretch the left side out. So finding that sense of extending your left limb away. Now, notice if you just kind of mindlessly pull your leg out, that can be a very disintegrating thing where you're not, you're really disconnecting your limb from your body. So let's try to keep that line, that connection from your navel to your foot, and then hug it back in, heel toward your navel. Okay, so a couple times there. Now let's move into the arms. Right arm. What does it feel like? So this sometimes can be trickier because we have, our torso is a little bit more complicated. So see if you can sense from your navel stretching out. And you can even trace it with your left arm if you want. Left hand, you can trace from your navel out through your arm. Whatever's going to help you get that pathway in the forest alive. So stretching on the inhale, expanding. And then a little plugging in of the shoulder, the hand, everything back toward the center. Switch sides. Out to the left we go. Stretching navel. Where's the missing links? So if you just pull your hand out, do you have a connected sensation to your center? Or is it just, kind of a disembodiment at some part along the way? So see if you can keep the pathway free the whole way. And notice if you can't. That's very common to have a limb that's not as integrated as other limbs. Now relax for a moment and just notice which limbs feel alive. How do you feel like you have more control or a sense of connection to any of your limbs more than any other of your limbs? And let's try one last one, crown and tail, lengthening away from each other. And then a little sense of relaxation. We'll feel this more when we come into true extension and flexion. So this is some of our most primal movement patterns that we learn to control, is this extending outward. So let's try all our limbs now. Stretching from our navel out to our edges. If you want to wiggle your toes or fingers, you can. But try not to overstretch where we lose the lines. And then hug back in. We're not lifting our knees yet. We're just drawing the limbs back toward the center. So close your eyes and integrate. See if you can feel as you stretch out and expand. Where do you lose it? Where do you gain? Are you breathing? Exhale back in. Now left leg and right arm. Stretching from center out to those two oppositional limbs. And then plug them back into the center. Change sides. Left arm, right leg. Expanding on the inhale, try not to lose your threads. Exhale and come back in to the center. All of your 6 limbs again, expanding out, and exhale and come in. Now we do this all the time when we're warming up to just kind of wake up that pattern of flexion and extension and radiating from the center outward. So let's do that like we always do. Navel to edges, all your limbs stretched out. Now pediculate a little bit, squeeze everything, just hang out there and wake up your muscles in this extension, and then relax for a moment. And let's try this one more time. No squeeze, just stretch. Navel to edges. Exhale, bring your knees in to your chest. Rock a little bit. We've been extending out a lot. Feel that sense of coming home. All right, so open things out. Exhale, this time our head comes up too, that feeling of coming home, integrating your limbs into your center. Integrate as you stretch your limbs away from your center. Exhale, integrate as you bring your limbs toward your center. Okay, relax your spine on the floor. Relax your arms on the floor. So if you have access to a wood floor, that's awesome. It's a little easier to do this. I'm going to turn my body so I don't get stuck. I think you have all done this with me as well. This is, one of besides flexion and extension of our spine, think of babies, they kind of learn to hold their head up and lean back. They have all this awakening in their spinal muscles first. And then babies' first kind of movements are twisting. So, not twisting, but rolling from front to back and back to front. So let's practice a little bit of this. See if you can extend your navel to your edges. And then as you're ready, bend your knees and roll over onto your right side, tucking into a little ball. Inhale, expand your body back out. Exhale, knees into your chest and roll over onto your left side. Try to be very drapey with this. We're relaxed. We're not pulling ourselves up and like we're not being a roly-poly. We're not actively flexing into this contraction. We're just feeling the natural flow of breath moving into extension, exhale, moving into flexion, very passively. See if you can enjoy this. Integrate the limbs. As you move, are you still able to feel those pathways from your center to your limbs and from your limbs back to your center? So if you think this is ridiculous, do it anyway, because I'm telling you, it's a really good movement pattern to familiarize yourself with being able to integrate your limbs to your core, which of course we need in all sorts of movement patterns that we do in our body, but also this just sense of awareness, focus. Where are we in space? How are we in space? Okay, once you finish on the left side, because we started on the right, go ahead and come back to opening yourself up on the ground on your back and rest for a moment. And let's just feel. How do you feel? How is your breath compared to the very beginning of your practice? Do you feel a little bit more integrated with your breath? Do you feel a little bit more aware and connected to your limbs? And let's go ahead and bend our knees, roll over to one side or the other, and come up onto your hands and your knees. Okay, so find all fours. And let's start moving through some cat-cows, arching the back and rounding the spine, taking your time to notice how are you today in your movements. Okay, what feels good? What feels maybe not so good? All right, and then after a couple of rounds, see if you can integrate. So where are you in space? As you exhale, can you feel that hugging of pelvis and shoulders toward each other? On your inhale, can you feel the crown and tail move away from each other? Find those two limbs, the head and the tail, in that spinal embrace where we have the integration of opening and the integration of closing. And then feel free to move the pose around any which way you want. So you can wiggle your hips, you can flow, you can sway from side to side, or do some circles through your shoulders, your pelvis, anything that feels really nice. Okay. And then let's walk our hips back towards child's pose. Take your sit bones back toward your heels, relax your forehead, walk the hands out in front of you, melt and relax your skull. Breathe deeply here. Okay, let's walk our hands over to one side. Let's go to the left. Open up the right rib cage and see what it feels like to expand. So now it may not feel like very center into your navel, but can you feel the side ribs open up to the hand and open up to the hip? Okay, come back, go the other side. This is so enjoyable, right? To open up the rib cage and let your breath flow. So let your head relax, melt the skull, breathing deeply. Okay, and then come back to center, up onto your hands and your knees. Okay, let's take our left leg straight back behind you, our right arm out in front of you. So here we are now, much more active in our integration of our limbs. Our muscles are recruiting now to support, but don't forget the energy lines of breath, where we're inhaling into the long extension of hand and foot in the air, and exhaling to hug those limbs back into the core of the body. So let the pose be physical. You know, we're working with the core strength, we're working with the glutes, the shoulders, but don't forget about just the energy of limb integration as well. Let's start moving. Take a deep breath in, exhale, elbow and knee coming into each other. Inhale, bring it out. Exhale, bring it in. One more time. Inhale. Exhale.
Bring it on out. Place that hand and knee down onto the ground and let's change sides. Okay, so the arm and leg are out in front of you, left arm, right leg. Integrate. See if you can feel that sense that the core is stable, but also mobile. Balance these forces where we're not in lockdown mode. So we don't want to hug so strongly in where we don't feel a sense of mobility in our limbs or in our breath. Take an inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, hug elbow and knee underneath you. Inhale, bring it out. Exhale, bring it in. One more time. All right, place your hand down, curl both toes under, lift up to dog pose. Take your time here. So first dog pose of the day, perhaps let's go ahead and find the posture. So feel free to pedal your feet, wake up different parts of your body. You can bounce. So, some tissues in the body like movement to wake up, some like stillness. Different days call for different things. So see what your body's in the mood for today. Remember, we're not doing a checklist of I must. Feel into how you are right now. Can you integrate your limbs to the earth? Can you feel beyond just integrating to yourself? Can you integrate to with what you're touching? So the hands and the feet have that sense of melting into the earth, the yielding, and then the rebounding to travel from the earth up into the pelvis. So feel that sense both in your arms and your legs, where there's a little give in your elbows and your knees. So we're not in lockdown mode. We don't want to harden our strength. We want to soften our strength. Be strong, but be mobile within it. Be breathing within it. How do you feel? Is there any little, hint of an alignment that would be better for you? Do you need stabilization somewhere? Check in with yourself. Are you melting your skull? Are you able to breathe? All right, and then let's walk our feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Fold a lot so your knees are soft and bent. Relax. And then inhale for a halfway lift. Let's practice a little bit of this navel radiation here. So extend crown and tail on the inhale, get long. And as you exhale, feel the limbs curl in toward the center, integrating the body. Inhale, extend out, sit bones high, legs straighten a bit. Exhale. Can you feel the natural impulse on the inhale to expand? The natural impulse on the exhale to condense. Push off your feet, rise up, come into Tadasana, bring your arms up in the air. If you're dizzy, pause, tuck your chin to your chest, squeeze to the midline, let your blood pressure accommodate the change of position. And then find what you're comfortable, find your way up. Lean back a little bit if it feels good, just open yourself up and then soften. Integrate the ribs, so try not to push the rib cage forward, integrate. And let's reach into our left leg and our right arm. So find that sense of extending in two different directions in opposite limbs. Move the other side. So right leg, left arm, stretching into the earth and into the sky. Like you're climbing ladders. Go back and forth between, see if you can match those left, right hemisphere works. And then release your arms down. Pause here for a moment. Practice your building, so close your eyes, what feels best. Into your toes for a moment. Your heels for a moment and feel your core kick in to help you. So integrate the center of your body, and then find your way. Just relax for a moment. Center your feet, ground down. Find your yielding. So the knees are soft. The breath is traveling to the soles of the feet. Can you give to the earth? And then a little bit of a push off the earth to rebound through your crown. So lengthening from your navel to your crown and tail. All right, inhale, reach the arms up. Try not to crunch the back. We're not overarching, we're extending. Exhale and float forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine is growing, sit bones wide. Feel your feet broaden. Exhale and melt back down. Let's step our right foot forward, left foot back, coming into a lunge. Support yourself with blocks if you want. Extending. Now let's feel movement. As we straighten our leg and tuck our chin, see what it might feel like to exhale and feel that connecting into the center. And then as you bend your knee, reach your crown and tail away from each other, moving away from your center. Back and forth. If there's no right or wrong, just experiment with different intentions. Try to remember that we're not a to-do list inside our body of alignment. We are a breathing, mobile, stable body, mind, spirit, all together. All right, come into a lunge now. Find your ground. Root your feet. Notice if you live in your pinky toes or in your heel. See if you can ground things in that front foot, and then rise up. Bring your arms maybe a little wider than you normally do. Find the navel to both hands. And even if you can't have your arms up for whatever reason with your shoulders, even if your arms are down, find the connection of your center to your heart, your arms. Breathe into the hands, any position that feels really good. Have as much bend in that knee as supported for your ability to stay long in your spine. Inhale to extend, exhale to feel the core engage a little bit. Can you plug your limbs back in? Can you reach your limbs out? Try not to yank at joints. We're moving from the center. Feel that string connecting the whole way through. And then release the hands down. Back foot comes forward, fold. So remember, you've done this pose a gazillion trillion times, but every time you have a new focus, a new awareness in what you're doing, something shifts. Okay, so hands on blocks if you want, hands on legs, halfway lift, extend the spine, feel the feet and the calves open up. Exhale and melt back down. Take your left foot forward, your right foot back, lunging here. Enjoy, open up that back hip, feel the chest rise. Crown and tail long. Go ahead and square hips, tuck chin toward chest. Where do you want to breathe? For me, it feels natural to inhale as I'm trying to lengthen my spine, navel to crown and tail. And it feels a little bit more natural to tuck my chin and exhale as I straighten my leg a bit. But maybe that feels different for you. So remember, there's no rights and wrongs. There's embodiment. There's awareness. Maybe something feels better for you than something else. So learn to trust your own intuition way more than any teacher telling you what to do. Always find the truth for yourself, no matter what it is. And then let's find that sense of grounding. Come on up when you're ready. Maybe your arms can come wide. Maybe you'd rather have your arms in a different position. Whatever you're doing, try to find that connection from your center all the way through your arms. And then feel your legs too. So we're yielding, we're grounding, and then push off that ground to extend through your crown. Are you soft somewhere that you don't have to be hard? Are you stable somewhere that maybe you're feeling a little lax or lazy, where you can integrate with your strength? So explore your body, explore your breath. All right, let's release the hands down. Dog pose again. Long spine, extend here. Feel the reach through your body. Relax your head. Sometimes dog pose is a really good place to practice this art of navel radiation and yielding, because we have 4 points of contact on the floor. Yield into those contacts. So you have the yield and then a push and then a reach. So yield, push, reach. Let the integration of your center to your limbs happen as you yield, push, reach. All right, if you feel lost, if you feel disengaged, where the limbs are just kind of hanging out there, try hugging to the midline. Invigorate some different musculature to support joints so that you can feel integrated. Come forward into a plank. Stabilize yourself, hands hug in, root the hands down, soften the elbows a little bit. We're not in lockout mode. Breathe well. All right, and then go ahead and come down onto your belly. Rise up into cobra pose, open the chest. Exhale, and melt back down. Some of these things are so familiar to your body. What new awareness can you bring? Stretch from your navel to your edges. Exhale and release. Scoot a little bit toward the right side of your mat and bring your left knee high up toward your chest. You can stay very low. Let the hip open a little bit here. And we're going to find a little bit of a twist. So take your right arm on the ground and open up. Now, this is a big twist in the body. So what can you do to feel that this is an extension from your navel to your arms, hands on both sides? Let the knee leave the floor as much as you need to for your shoulders to feel happy, your spine to feel happy, and then stretch into your legs as well. Can you integrate outward? Can you integrate inward? Okay, come back to center. Find your way onto your belly and slide over to the other side. Bring your right knee up. Stay low. Just enjoy the compression in the hip joint here for a moment. And then as you're ready, go ahead and slide open into a twist. Hopefully you have some room. I always run out of room. Feel that sense of being able to have your knee leave the floor. Modulate that for your back. Make sure you're not overdoing the spinal twist. Stretch into both arms. Can you feel a little bit of that cross line in the body? Stretch into both legs. Breathe. And then come back to center. Come on to all fours. Come on up and move the spine around. Nurture whatever just might have gotten a little snug up. Breathe into some flexion, some extension, whatever feels nice to the body. And then find your way back to dog pose. Bend your elbows, bend your knees. Plug the elbows into the shoulders, plug the knees into the hips. Feel that muscular integration into those, I always call the elbows and the knees the middle joints. And then the shoulders and the hips are the femur bones and the hip joints are kind of like, they connect a little bit to the center of us a little bit more proximally. So feel into that plug that we integrate, and then push off and lengthen, push, and then find the reach. So yield, push, reach. Breathe your way here. So don't let your concentration on your bodily sensations stop your breath. Inhale, lift your right leg up in the air, maybe stack it open, feel a lot of space. And then square it up again. We're going to bring our knee into our chest, but first extend outward, lengthen, exhale, hug inward. Integrate that limb, reach it out. When we reach out, navel connects to the leg in the air. Exhale, knee into the chest. Bring it on out. Bring it forward, finding a lunge. Rise up again. This time, plant your back heel down onto the ground so we feel grounded. You can take your front foot out to the side more. Choose where you want your arms to be for Vera 1. You can have that extension. So remember, if we open up our chest into extension without a sense of integration, we just crunch our low back. So what does it feel like to feel the crown and tail, to get that long line? Stretch into the legs, feel the navel connect to the legs, feel the navel connect to the arms, and then try not to lose that connection as you start to rise upward. So use the support of navel radiation to make sure that in a back bendy pose, you're not just compressing the lumbar spine, but we're using the roots to rise, we're using the navel to connect to our limbs for support. and then release your arms. Back foot comes forward, fold a little bit. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Step back dog pose. Let's lift the left leg up. Maybe the hip stacks over the other one. Now when you do this, do you lose integration? Push into, yield and push up both hands. And then square the hips again, get long. Extend navel to your foot in the air. Exhale, draw it in. Feel that integration of your limbs toward your core. Inhale, extend away from your core. Try not to lose your connection points. Exhale, knee in. Inhale, bring it back up. Swing your foot forward, Virabhadrasana 1. You can take your front foot out to the side. So remember, you do not need to be upright and leaning back. You very much can be, but perhaps your pose is better suited in the sense of being able to connect your crown and tail through your core, to connect your limbs through your core. Maybe you're better off not having your arms overhead. Maybe you're better off leaning forward a little bit. What's going to help you yield, push, and reach? What's going to help you find that connection of your core to your legs, your core to your arms, your core to your crown and tail? Can you be supported by these connections? Can you not let them, don't break the chains. So when we arch our back intensely and fly our ribs forward and collapse, we break the chains. Can you feel that? That you no longer connect from your navel anywhere. So connect navel to hands, connect navel to feet. Exhale, hands down onto the ground, back foot comes forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Enjoy the symmetry, relax your neck. Exhale and melt. We're gonna come into chair pose. You can choose to use a block if you want between your thighs. You can put your feet together, so however the variation is best for your body. So if you struggle with your knees, putting a block between your thighs can be very stabilizing, as can putting your butt against a piece of furniture or a wall. Same, do you want your arms, your limbs extending down, out or up? What breaks the chain? So if you come into chair pose and your arms are up, but you feel like you've broken the chain, do you have, like a hyperextension in the spine? Find the chain, find the connection from your core to your limbs, wherever your arms need to be to find that connection. Ground, okay? Feel your limbs, your legs connect into your core. Can you feel the yield, push, and reach? How's your breath? Stay integrated with the breath. No matter what you're doing, work less so your breath can be more. Okay, rise up. Breathe deeply. Take that block out of there. And let's turn to the side edge of our mat. Okay, so with this sense of connecting into our navel to our limbs, all of our limbs, right? We sometimes, when we get really forceful, we can lock up high and we forget that we can connect our upper body to our lower body. So let's, as we move, so I want you to think very slowly with this. Move into your right leg and drop your hands down toward the earth, and then rise up and push into your left leg with your arms up high. Do this channel a few times. Drawing down, yield, push, and reach. One more time. Inhale, yield, push, and reach. Come back to center for a goddess. It can be high, it can be low, it can be anywhere in between. Whatever is working for you, you can have your hands in whatever way supports navel to your edges. Okay, and then stand on up. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. Bend your knee, gather down, and then push off that foot to rise up onto the other side. Coming down, yield, push, and reach. Let's try one more. Yield, keep breathing. Push and reach. And then come back to center, legs are wide. All right, and now you can do whatever you want, really, in any way. You can turn this into any kind of dance kind of feeling where you're fluid. And I don't mean dance like we're dancers, but fluid in your body. So, we're gonna go from one side to the other. And through these movements where we bear weight left and we bear weight right and push and yield, we yield, push, reach, see if you can stay integrated no matter what you're doing with the limbs. Okay, there can be all sorts of movements here. So there's no rights or wrong, but stay connected no matter what your choices that you're making. Try to find that the whole while you're breathing, the whole while you're yield, push, reaching, and the whole while you're integrating the center to your limbs, crown, tail, arms, legs. So the joy about doing yoga all by yourself is you can look as ridiculous as you want. Nobody's there watching you. So just find any movement that feels like, oh yeah, I can feel my center connect to my limbs. I can feel myself come into flexion. I can feel myself come into extension. I can go to a side. I can stay centered. I can do whatever I want. Any kind of movement. The only thing that matters is you're breathing, you're feeling the yield, push, reach, and you're feeling the integration of your core to your limbs. And if you struggle, if you have one limb that you're like, geez, I just don't get that. I don't find that pathway. Focus on that limb. See if you can stay integrating into one limb over and over if you need to. If you feel a little disconnected somewhere, you don't have to be symmetrical in your movement patterns. If you're trying to bushwhack through a path in your body that isn't very well traveled, you can find a very subtle pathway and move through it. So anything's possible. Any movement's possible. Forget about yoga. Just let your body move in any way that feels good. Yield, push, and reach. Connecting center to your edges. Staying inside the breath. And then end with a giant standing starfish. Open eyes, closed eyes, whatever feels good. Okay, and then bring your hands down onto the mat and relax your head. Soften here. Turn back to the front of your mat and come into dog pose. Extending the spine. Yield, push, and reach here. Find that navel radiation. Are you lost anywhere along the pathways? Can you feel your navel to your right arm? Can you feel your navel to your left arm? Can you feel your navel to your feet? Can you feel your navel to your crown and your tail? Is there a consistent pathway that's a little shaky? It's very common. So, assume that you will find a shaky pathway. Okay, let's find our way into a plank. Stable body here. All right, find your way to the floor. Arms anywhere you want them. Down, out, up. Okay. Find the pathways here of cross lateral hemispheres. Left arm, right leg. Lifting. Exhale. Melting down. Can you move this? Imagine that your core is not in the front of your body. It's in the center of your body. So even though we're extending the spine, we're still moving this from the center. So where is the center to support the integration as you lift up and the integration as you lower down? One more time each side. Come back up, all fours. And then if it's comfortable, settle back in child's pose. Otherwise, stay on all fours and do some swishing and swaying. Breathe into the back of the body. All right, let's find our way to dog pose. Stretch upward, lengthen spine, breathe here. Spread out fingers and toes, heart lifting to pelvis. All right, and then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Fold in half, breathe and relax. Halfway lift, melt back down. All right, last of the standing poses. Come into Parsvakonasana. Bend your knee, elbow on your knee, and stretch your arm. Now, always, you can have your arm in any plane, wherever it wants to go. See if you can find the yield, the push, and the reach. Can you find that connection of your navel spreading through to your limbs, spreading through to your crown and your tail, both in the expanding out and in the hugging in. Come on up, turn your feet the other way. Parsvakonasana this side, elbow down, arm wherever you want it to be. You know, lose the checklist. Only search for, am I connected from my center to my limbs? Am I feeling my breath? Am I able to yield and then push to reach? Am I softening somewhere that's hard, like the base of my skull? All right, great. And then come on out of the pose. Last dog pose, integrate in that symmetry. Full breaths here. And then we're going to come down onto our backs, come onto your knees and flip over onto your back and bring your knees to your chest. Rock a bit. Open up your hips and swing your knees back in. Okay. So cross your right thigh over your left thigh. Draw your knees to your chest. While you're here, can you extend the spine? Widen your sit bones. Connect your breath to the crown and tail movement. Connect your navel to the crown and tail. Starfish, open your body. Wide limbs of connection. Bring your knees back in, left thigh over right thigh. Draw the knees into the chest. Relax. Let your body rest now. Navel is still connecting to the crown and the tail. We're still moving in breath. All right, put your feet on the ground. Lift your hips and scooch them to the right. Pick up your knees and drop them to left. Support yourself in any way you need. Open the chest. Turn your head to the right. Can you feel the navel now stretch into your limbs and reconnect on your exhale, finding back toward your core? Pick up your knees. Lift your hips up, scooch them to the left. Knees come up and drop them right. Breathing deeply. Feeling the openness. Expanding from your center to your limbs as best as you can. Coming back home to the center from the limbs as best as you can.
and then coming back to center. As you lie down for Shavasana, maybe you need support, maybe you'd rather just be flat so you can really feel the width of your body, the spaciousness. Melt your head, yield all your bones down. There's no more work to be done, but when you breathe in, can you feel yourself, kind of the wave, move out from the center to your limbs? And can you feel the wave move back from the limbs to the center on your exhale? So there's nothing to do. There's only something to feel.
Allow your body to just rest. All your bones are heavy. Stay inside your breath and relax. Let's begin to deepen our breathing. And as you pay attention to your breath again, can you feel that natural wave of connection? As you inhale, the center of your body reaches outward to your edge. And as you exhale, retreat back to your center. And this is something that happens without effort. It's not something we need to do, only observe. Can you stay in the flow? This is part of that sustained awareness, subtleties that we can take with us to help us integrate, attune, and connect. Come on to your side as you are ready. As you come up to a seat, can you feel if there's a sense of change in your capacity to be integrated, centered, reaching out to the world from this centered place? Offer your prayers, your intentions, your love, your care to someone, maybe someone you know who's not very integrated, is a little scattered in their energy in some way. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful day.